My jealous brother hooked up with my fiancé right after our engagement, so I snitched to the whole family and now they're being cut off. I'm 23, and I got engaged and then broke it off in just 2 weeks. My fiancé, Riley, who's also 23, hooked up with my older brother Adam, 27, the night after we got engaged. My disgusting brother tried to rub it in my face just to make me feel bad. Riley and I had been together for almost 3 years, but she threw it all away for my brother. On our engagement night, she told me she was thrilled to be marrying me, but then she went back on her word the very next day when she hooked up with my brother. I was super upset about it, so I broke things off through text and blocked her. I also changed the locks on my house so she couldn't come back home. Riley and I had been living together for the past year, and it had been going really well, so I thought it was the right time to propose. I never thought she'd end up betraying me for Adam, of all people, because she knows that he and I have an intense rivalry and don't get along at all. My dad passed away when I was a baby in an accident, and I barely have any memories of him. Adam at least spent some time with him, but I have no recollection of what he was like. Adam never liked me, and growing up, he was my biggest enemy. He was always a bully, and my mom, being a single mom, didn't really have time to deal with our sibling rivalry because she had more important things on her mind, like paying the bills and making sure there was food on the table every day. Our uncle, my dad's brother, visited a lot and tried to help out as much as he could. My mom kept in touch with my dad's family even after his death for their sake because they'd already lost their son. They didn't need to lose their grandkids too. My uncle was pretty much the only father figure I've ever known, and he still is my go-to person. For Adam, it was my mom. My mom didn't play favorites, but it was pretty clear that if she had to choose, Adam would be the one. And that just made our sibling rivalry even crazier because I wanted to be her favorite too. Unfortunately, I was always kind of a loser growing up. I sucked at sports and was just okay at school stuff. I was super skinny and didn't have any cool talents to stand out. So I was always really insecure about pretty much everything, which made it tough for me to talk to people, make friends, and be popular. I was a total introvert and mostly kept to myself. Adam was totally different. He played sports and was awesome at them. He did pretty well in school too and had a way different build than me, big and sturdy, thanks to his sports. No surprise, being his little brother was even more embarrassing for me. Even though nobody said it to my face, I knew everyone was always comparing me to him and thinking I was a loser compared to him. Over time, I got used to living in his shadow and just let him walk all over me. My self-esteem took a real beating during my childhood, and I never really got over it. Even on my last day of high school, I barely had any friends and nobody wanted to talk to me because I just seemed weird. Things only started to get better when I graduated and went to college. I was a new person there, and nobody knew me as Adam's little brother. So I really came into my own once I didn't have to deal with Adam's constant bullying and could finally be myself. I know it sounds cheesy, but I'm so thankful I was able to go to college out of state, where nobody knew me, because I don't think I would be the person I am today without that experience. And I have my uncle to thank for it, because he was the one who paid for me to go to college. My mom told me she couldn't afford to send me to college so far away and wanted me to choose a school closer to home, in our city if possible. But I was dead set on going, and my uncle stepped up and offered to cover the costs. I made a ton of friends there and ended up graduating at the top of my class. My mom and uncle came to my graduation, but Adam didn't show up, even though I went to his. After I moved out, Adam and I didn't really keep in touch, and for good reason. He hated me for no reason, and I hated him because he made my childhood and teen years a living hell. I was happy to be done with him, and we only saw each other during holidays or when we came back home for birthdays. It's been years, and that's the way it stayed. We didn't see each other as family outside of our house. But when he lost all his money a couple of years back, I did reach out to console him. He'd quit his job to start his own business, but it tanked, and my uncle and mom had to bail him out because he was drowning in debt. He couldn't get his old job back, so he had to move back into our mom's house for a few months until he got back on his feet. Even when he finally found a new job, it wasn't as good as the one he had before. But he took it because he wanted to get out of his mom's house, being well into his 20s and feeling embarrassed about still living at home. That's what my uncle told me, and it was pretty upsetting because his life had totally fallen apart. I felt bad for him and sent him a message to show I cared, but I think he took it the wrong way and thought I was rubbing it in or mocking him, so he blocked me and didn't talk to me for the next couple of holidays. We weren't exactly friendly when we met, but we tried to keep things civil and at least say hello, even if it was cold. But after that message, we stopped talking completely. I'd love to say Adam's life improved, but it didn't. He took the failure of his business really hard, and every time I saw him after that, he looked more worn out. My uncle told me that he had switched jobs 7, 8 times after that, but didn't seem happy with any of them. His clothes got shabbier, and you could see how he was feeling just by watching him at family gatherings. He was always either drinking or quietly staring into space. I say this from the bottom of my heart, but it really made me feel bad for him when I saw him like that. I had always hated him growing up, but now, it was just really tough to hate someone who was already going through so much. My uncle always tried to include him in our conversations, but he didn't seem interested and would always leave early. I had also started bringing Riley to these gatherings after we had been together for a year. She knew about Adam and even seemed concerned about him, but there was not much that we could do. Fast forward to our engagement, which happened 2 weeks ago. Riley and I were at my uncle's house for his birthday dinner. I had asked him first and made sure that he was cool with me proposing to her at his dinner party, and he was, so I went ahead with it. The family would all be there anyway, and my uncle had a beautiful house with a lovely garden, so it was just the perfect place. I had even invited her parents, but they weren't going to show up until after the proposal, so she wouldn't be able to guess what was about to happen. After my uncle had cut the cake and stuff, I took her outside and popped the question. She said yes, and then we went back in to tell everyone and celebrate. I did notice that Adam left within minutes of me making the announcement, but I didn't think too much of it because I was pretty busy with everybody else that evening. And also, he usually does leave family gatherings early, so it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Riley and I had a great evening, and then we went back home. She didn't say anything about Adam or his weird behavior when we got back home, which is pretty normal for her after my family events. We were both pretty hammered from the wine and exhausted, so I passed out the second my head hit the pillow, but I did wake up around 2 a.m. because I had to pee. When I got up, I saw Riley was still on her phone, and when I asked her who she was chatting with, she said she was just telling a few friends about the engagement. That seemed harmless enough, so I didn't think much of it and went back to sleep pretty quick. But 2 days later, while I was at work, I got a bunch of texts from Adam out of nowhere. The last time we talked, he had blocked me, so this was totally unexpected. They were just screenshots of his chats with Riley, and in those messages they were planning to hook up, which they actually did. It all started with Adam messaging her to congratulate her on the engagement, and she asked him why he didn't stick around for the rest of the night. He told her he was upset about a bunch of stuff and wanted to leave before he ruined my happy moment because he didn't want to crash my party. He went on about how we've never been friends and how it felt wrong for him to be there celebrating with me, so he bylayed. He was trying to play the victim, like some sad little puppy that nobody wanted, but honestly, I wouldn't have minded if he stayed. He was just trying to get Riley to feel sorry for him so he could manipulate her easier, and that's exactly what happened. She started comforting him, telling him there was someone out there for him. She also said I was a great guy and didn't mean to make him feel bad, so she apologized for us if he was upset about what happened. Adam said he'd never find someone like Riley, so he didn't see the point in even looking. That sneaky guy started flirting with her, and she flirted right back. Before I knew it, they were making plans to meet up. I'm certain she went to his house the night after our engagement because she told me she was spending the night at her friend's to share all the engagement details. To make matters worse, Adam sent me photos of Riley's clothes on his bed, and that was all the proof I needed. It was a sick and twisted move, and it totally threw me off, but I took the rest of the day off and headed straight home after getting Adam's texts. I was crying my eyes out, but even through the tears, I decided to change the locks and started packing whatever I could grab. Anything I saw that was Riley's, I threw into a cardboard box, and once I was done, I left it right outside the door. By the time I finished everything, it was almost time for Riley to come home. I hadn't seen her since the night before because she said she'd go to work straight from her friend's place, but now I know she actually went from Adam's house. I wanted to break up with her face to face, but after a while, I figured it wasn't worth it because she cheated on me the day after I proposed, and she swore to spend her life with me. I was so upset that I decided to end it over text. I sent her a message saying I knew she hooked up with Adam and I was done with her. I told her she disgusted me and that all her stuff was outside the door, so she could just pick up the box and leave because I didn't want to see her. If she left anything else at home, she could come back later to get it. I told her it was over, sent the message, and then blocked her. A few minutes after I sent that text, Riley was at my doorstep, knocking and begging me to let her in. She sounded totally devastated, and I could hear it in her voice. She kept pleading for a chance to explain herself, saying she knew she'd messed up big time but just wanted me to listen. It went on for about half an hour, and it was super tough for me to stay cool and ignore it. But after she tried everything from crying to manipulation and back to begging, she finally left. Just to be safe, I waited about an hour after the begging stopped before opening the door to make sure she wasn't still out there. Once I was sure she was gone, I ordered some takeout, ate dinner, and then tried to go to sleep, but I was so upset that I couldn't even close my eyes. I wanted to do something big to get back at Adam and really teach him a lesson, but I couldn't think of anything. I kept brainstorming on my own for a while, and when nothing came to me, I decided to take the easy way out and just forwarded those screenshots to everybody in the family, saying this is what my dear brother Adam did to me. And then I turned my phone off and went to sleep. I honestly didn't have a plan in mind and didn't even set any conditions for my relatives. So whatever they did, it was totally their choice, and I had absolutely no part in it. Everybody in the family responded with sympathy and told me that they had blocked him and were going to cut him off from everywhere. Everybody was in shock after they found out what Adam had done to me and reached out to console me, except for my mom. She didn't talk to me in the first couple of days after I sent everybody that message, but she visited me a few days later, and she looked really upset. I knew that she wasn't going to sit and console me like the others. I was right because she had come to talk to me about my actions. She told me she got why I was mad at Adam for whatever he did, and I had every right to be, but still, I should have kept the whole thing under wraps. Her reason was that Adam was already going through a lot, living paycheck to paycheck as a grown man with a failed business and no luck in love. He'd have the occasional fling, but nothing stuck, and it was especially tough because he was a really promising young guy back in the day. So nobody could have guessed he'd end up so down and out. Me, on the other hand, nobody could have predicted I'd be doing as well as I am now. Whether it's my job or my relationships, my mom thought Adam did this out of jealousy, which I already knew. For context, I work at an architecture firm with a pretty sweet salary. I busted my butt to get where I am, and if Adam had done his homework on his business instead of jumping in blindly, it might not have tanked and he wouldn't be making less than half of what I do. But getting back to the point, while my mom was laying all this out, it almost sounded like she was trying to excuse what he did. So I cut her off and asked if she was seriously trying to make it okay for Adam to hook up with my fiancé the night after we got engaged just because his life was a mess. She took a moment and then said it wasn't okay, but I needed to see things from his perspective and maybe cut him some slack. She went on to say that the family cutting him off had hit him hard and he was really struggling. The family get-togethers were pretty much the only thing keeping him going because he felt too embarrassed to hang out with his friends, who were way more successful than him, so he didn't keep in touch with them, and family was all he had left. I was happy about that, and I didn't really care that he was miserable because he had broken up with me and Riley. So he deserved this, and I had no sympathy to spare for him, but my mom thought I should be the bigger person and talk to everyone to convince them somehow to give him a chance. Not only that, she also wanted me to reach out to him and clear the air. I told her that I was not doing any of it, and she was nuts to even expect that I would reach out to the person who ruined my relationship on purpose. I really just snapped at her. I told her that I knew she had favorites even though she didn't really make it obvious. But she didn't have to rub it in my face and make me feel so bad. I told her that if I had done the same thing to Adam, then she wouldn't have been trying to justify it and make it look like no big deal. She probably would have been all up in arms about it, and I knew that for sure. She tried to deny it, and we started arguing. It turned into a big fight where she got very upset and huffy. She left the house after saying that she wouldn't talk to me until I reached out to Adam and tried to sort things out with him. It's been a couple of days since then, and my relatives have been checking in on me. Mostly it's my uncle who has been texting with me every day. Riley also sends me messages from time to time, hoping to win me back or at least have a conversation with me, but I haven't replied to her. I haven't blocked her yet either, but I know that I have to and I will, eventually. The only person that I haven't heard from after our big fight is my mom, and I really feel bad about it. I already mentioned that I knew my brother was her favorite because they always seemed to have some inexplicable bond, even when I was a kid. But my mom never played favorites. That's up until now, at least. I just feel very confused about what she said. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now, and it's not like I'm down in the dumps or anything, but I really do miss having my mom around. The thing is, I just can't get on board with her take on the whole Adam and Riley mess. What do you all think about me sending my family the evidence of my brother and my fiancé cheating on me? Update 1, you guys have spoken loud and clear, and I've heard you. Thanks a ton for all the comments on my first post and for sticking with me through it all. I'm so grateful that so many of you gave me solid advice on what to do next and made me feel like I wasn't the one in the wrong. My mom's words really had me thinking I was out of line for what I did, but it turns out that's not the case at all, and I don't need to reach out to anyone. I also talked to my uncle about what my mom said. I hadn't told anyone before because this was pretty personal, and I wasn't ready to share it with others, but my uncle is family, and I felt a lot better after our chat. He told me that he had also seen how my mom always seemed to favor Adam over me. It wasn't always super clear, but it was there, and anyone with half a brain could see she had a favorite, and it wasn't me. He said he felt really bad about what happened to me because he knew how much I cared about Riley, and yet she didn't think twice about hooking up with Adam, even though she knew we were together. It sucked, but there wasn't much I could do, and honestly, I'm kind of okay because I like to think I dodged a bullet there. I haven't completely moved on from her yet, but I know I'll get there. That's not really what's bothering me. However, my relationship with my mom is something I really don't want to lose. But if she keeps acting like this and playing the victim for Adam, I just don't see how we can move forward or patch things up. My uncle thinks I should just throw in the towel. He said he knows my mom, and she's not going to budge if she thinks she's right. He told me not to hold my breath waiting for her to come around and talk to me because it's pretty unlikely, especially since she's been visiting Adam almost every day ever since our family cut him off. It stung that she was still going out of her way to look after him, even though I was the one who actually lost a relationship because of him, and a pretty big one at that. But I also get that I can't do anything about it, and it is what it is. That's something my uncle taught me, to just accept things and move on, and I guess that's what I gotta do. I tried arguing with my mom and getting her to see reason, but she wasn't interested in the truth. She just wanted to make sure Adam had all the support he needed. Fine by me, I suppose. Update 2, so it's been almost 2 weeks since I broke up with Riley, and she was texting me almost every other day for about a week after we broke up. But then she just stopped, probably after she realized that begging me to take her back wasn't going to work. And I don't want to talk to her or hear her side of the story. I don't even know why she thought explaining her side would make it any better because as far as I'm concerned, nothing excuses cheating, and that's just how it is. But she reached out to me yesterday and told me she wanted to come by and pick up some of the stuff she left behind. That's when I finally replied because now we were getting down to business instead of our conversations just being her begging me to talk to her and me ignoring all those texts. I told her she could come by today because I was taking a day off anyway and might as well get this over with. So she dropped by around noon, and I could tell that she was really upset. She looked pretty rough and didn't even glance at me the whole time she was there. I didn't say a word to her after I let her in, and the house was dead silent while she packed up her stuff. I just sat on the couch in the living room and kept my eyes off her. Once she finished packing, she told me she was leaving, and even though I had a lot on my mind, I just said goodbye and went back to my phone. She didn't deserve anything more from me, and after that, she was gone for good. It feels weird, but in a good way because now I don't have to deal with her or be reminded of her by stuff around the house or her texts. I blocked her a few minutes after she left and decided to celebrate by watching our favorite movie by myself. Still no word from my mom, but it's getting easier for me to accept it over time. At least now, I know for sure that she'd never take my side just because I'm not Adam. So whatever I did for her would never be enough, and honestly, I'm tired of trying. My uncle told me he also had a fight with her recently while trying to stick up for me, and she didn't like it, so they're not talking either. I can't believe she's willing to ruin her relationship with both of us just to keep defending Adam, even though she knows he's a jerk. It just doesn't make sense to me, but I guess if that's what she wants, then so be it. It's been a month since I last talked about this, and I can't believe that until a month ago, I was still complaining about how my mom doesn't love me. But I'm doing better now, and I just don't care about what my mom thinks anymore. She's just as delusional and selfish as my brother, and that's probably why they get along so well. They're both horrible people. I was pretty unlucky to be related to them, but now I have no ties with either of them. And I am so thankful for it because they don't deserve someone like me, and neither did Riley. I was always too good for them, and if they couldn't see that, then that's their problem. It's totally their loss, and I don't have to feel bad about anything. That's exactly why I don't feel bad about the fact that nobody from our family talks to them anymore or invites them to any events. They just have no connection to any of us anymore, and I couldn't be happier about it. Riley and I haven't spoken since she came back here to pick up her stuff for the last time because I blocked her afterward. So did most of our mutual friends, once they found out the real reason behind our engagement falling apart. But my mom did try to reach out to me a few days ago, And even now, she doesn't think she needs to apologize to me, which is just crazy to even think about. Even in our last conversation, she was still going on about how Adam is suffering and has been diagnosed with clinical depression. I told her I could give her a psychotherapist's phone number, but that was it, and I definitely wasn't going to talk to our family members now to make them feel sorry for him. Then she started trying to manipulate me by getting all emotional and sentimental. She was really laying it on thick, saying she had already lost her husband and didn't want to lose the two most important men in her life now because of some stupid, petty fight over a girl. It was interesting that she saw the fight as stupid and petty because, the way I remember it, the fight wasn't over some girl, it was over my fiancé. And it wasn't dumb or petty because Adam hooked up with Riley on purpose, just to make me feel bad. So I think I had every right to be mad at him and never want to talk to him again. As for the rest of our family, I didn't force them to do anything. They cut Adam and my mom off because of how they acted, and I had nothing to do with it. So if they want to point fingers, they should look in the mirror. That's what I told my mom before I blocked her. Now I can finally move on with my life, and they can go to hell for all I care.